my name is Tiffany Newton. I'm a first grade teacher at Phoenix 1 District. This presentation is going to be an overview of the expectations of being an educator in accordance with state standards, code of conduct, ethics, and professionalism. Each slide has a more in-depth notes section, but this is just going to be an overview, so please make sure that you look at each notes section in each slide. This is the first page. Here is the next slide. These are going to be the objectives of everything that I'm going over. This is going to be the first area, which is the degree requirements of GCU and the course expectations. So this right here is a course overview, and then GCU for the Masters of Elementary Education requires 47 credit hours. Those are 3 credits per class. GCU combines the essential courses like your child's development, your teaching children with exceptionalities, classroom management, alongside with your practicum courses. And with those courses, you also are required to have your field experience, which would be the same thing as student teaching. This is going to be an overview of the K-8 licensure process here in Arizona, because that's the certificate that I would be going for once I complete this program. So here you have like the basic requirements, so completing your application, having your IVP fingerprint clearance card, having like the required course hours. So for me it would be GCU's master's degree, for others it could be a bachelor's degree, and then submitting those transcripts. For this certificate, it is valid for up to 12 years and it is renewable. And there's different processes for renewal based on like if you're renewing ahead of time 6 months prior, or if you're renewing like up to 10 years afterwards. So there's different processes online. This slide goes over alternative routes. This is a route that I had taken before I joined GCU. So it's alternatives like if you've been teaching for 3+ years and you can have your HR verify that and send in documents to ADE. That's another route that usually circumvents like the teaching exams, like your subject or your knowledge exams. So there's 2 different routes that you can take that are alternative, and they usually circumvent like one area of the requirement. And then this slide also goes over deficiencies that you can have. So like right now my alternative teaching certificate thanks to GCU, but I have a deficiency still of my Arizona State and my US Constitution, which will soon be filled. So this slide is about maintaining your license. So you need professional development to maintain your license, and you need 180 hours, which is about 15 hours per year. And that is something that will be submitted when it's time for renewal. This could be like professional development from your district, professional development from your school, maybe your curriculum offers professional development, like our AZ Inspire offers professional development. This can all go toward renewing. This slide is about how to maintain high expectations in the classroom. So this is all about like upholding like your MCEE, like code of ethics, or your in-task standards, or your professional dispositions of learners. So in my classroom, I foster a learning community that's rooted in respect, diversity, a rigorous instruction, and believing that all of my students are capable of learning. So for me, I will uphold high expectations that will be aligning with instruction and Arizona State standards and the curriculum that my district provides. And one way to do that is communication. Communication is key. So having constant and consistent communication with your families helps like relate to your community and make that connection between you and your students, you and your families, and the community outside of your school. So this is a slide that goes over the communication that I mentioned. So for my district, communication looks like phone calls home, and it also looks like Class Dojo messages. And with Class Dojo, for me, I also like issue the children points, and it shows the parents that they've been working hard, or that they were a good friend, or that they completed their task, that they weren't distracted. So those are ways that I communicate and I connect with the families. And then this is a reflection of MCEE and the professional disposition of learners. So for me, I will uphold my ethics by protecting confidentiality of my students and the dignity for all of my students. I'll act with integrity, and I will be using technology, but it will be upholding the ethics, and I will make sure that it is following those. Ultimately, I aim to create a community of students that feel valued, capable, inspired, and safe to grow academically, socially, and emotionally. This slide is about reflection. So as an educator, I will remain reflective with my teaching practices and my instruction. I remain reflective by using data. So I analyze the data from like their weekly assessments or it could be from their module assessments, which would be like a whole unit. This is through your benchmark testing, this is through classroom observations, and it's through that data that I can identify learning gaps, or that I can properly differentiate my learning, or that I can implement evidence-based strategies that support all of my students. And this is in accordance with Arizona state standards for all areas of instruction. This also allows me to better support my diverse learners, like my EL learners, my students with exceptionalities. All of this data is how I can reflect and make sure that my instruction is reaching everybody in the classroom. I will use professional development to stay informed. With ongoing commitment to reflection, data analysis, and instructional improvement, I will ensure that my students are engaged, that they're achieving, and that they're growing academically. This slide is about my professional goals. So for me, my first goal is to better understand and implement the science and social studies curriculum. This year, social studies curriculum is new to the entire district of Phoenix One, so we're all learning together. But last year I joined really late into the district, so I felt like I didn't get to dive deep enough into science, but I've already started professional development on science. So that is my first goal, and my second goal is to make sure that I'm better supporting my EL learners, so my English language learners. And then this is a slide that goes over both my two goals and then goes over how I expect to meet those goals in meaningful ways. So for me, professional development is huge. My district offers yearly professional development that's like really like inclusive and encompassing of our curriculum, but also they offer instruction all year. So we have professional development at most at least 4 times in 1 month. Sometimes it's bi-weekly. So professional development is going to be key for helping me figure out and make sure that I'm implementing the curriculum appropriately, but also leaning on my peer teachers and my mentor teachers who've done this a lot longer than I have and who have a better idea of how to implement it, and being able to observe their classrooms and how they are implementing it. And then also I'm looking into an SEI training, which would help me have up to 45 hours of professional development focused on EL learners, so that would be my next step. So this slide is gonna have the link to the video for your later perusal, and this slide is the reference slide. So this contains all the references that I use to inform this presentation, and that concludes the presentation for today.